Hello, I'm Min, and today we're gonna remember that promise that I made a really long time ago and said I would do AuthorTube videos. So today I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite topics. I am obsessed with names. I have been the majority of my life. I just used to write them out. It was obsessive. Now I use this excuse as I'm only collecting names for writing because everyone's gonna write as many books as Stephen King. And I don't think even he needed 30 pages of random names for his books, but I do 30 pages on a document, not including my numerous collection of books, daily subscriptions. We're going to be talking about how to name your characters. At any rate, my first thing for this would be Nameberry. It is the subscription that I look at every single weekday. It is actually remarkable for name ideas. I would also say from other countries, my fantasy books do not really resemble 15th century Europe like most fantasy books. My characters are also not white people, because why is everyone white in fantasy books? Sometimes I wonder if people forget that most of the people on Earth are not white. Pretty much half the world lives in China or India. The population of Caucasian people is nilch. And then we have the continent of Africa, not the country, which has tons of people. We have South America and Latin America, which is part of North America. The continent of Oceania, which most of those islands are also not populated most by Caucasians. Europe and 2 countries in North America, and Australia and New Zealand, who also have tons of other races, not white. So Caucasian people in the world versus how many Caucasian people are in fiction are kind of insane. So use other names from different cultures and maybe use people that aren't white in your books. I meet people and I just steal their names. I'm like, oh, that's a pretty name, and I write it down. Or they're talking about someone, I'm like, oh, let me write that down. Or I read a book and I like the name, or I watch a TV show or a movie and I like the name and I write it down. Maybe don't use the name Katniss as the main character in a dystopian novel. Place names, which is one of my favorite. I was trying to find sci-fi names lately. I'm trying to make characters that had relatable enough names, not a Steve. I ended up picking a bunch of place names. Like I studied Greek, old ghost towns of Greek that were no longer established, and had the name like Barin, which is a great name. Stole the name Zurich because it sounds awesome. People are named Paris and Austin and every other American city. Why can't people be named Zurich? Fantasy name generators that I sometimes use kind of mix and match the ones that I find on the generators. For instance, I have a character named Isabeth. I also have the name Rue Quinn, like Rue and Quinn put together. The book has been around for a long time. I'm not really sure where I got her name from, but her name is Solilry, which might have started off as Solana, Sol, like the sun, and then Lily, and then I just added a re on it. Or could it be Soliloquy and just trying to change it up? And then names in different languages, or like variations of names, of English names. Like if I name someone Josephine, it would sound 19th century name, but if I name someone Joselina, it sounds like it could be a fantasy name, or she could just be Italian. Mythology, I use a lot of mythological names. I use a lot of Norse mythology, especially since people don't really know Norse mythology. So pick some great names, especially Norse mythology, because then you can make references and people won't get the references, and they're called foreshadowing. Or like Egyptian or just African. There's tons of African lore out there with cool names too. Symbolism, you can use them for foreshadowing. Think of like Fred and George, ear, death. My shout out today is Ginny Reedsley. I find her friggin' hilarious. She's just awesome and sarcastic and lovely. She's a new booktuber. And if you want any other advice or stuff about writing or reading, let me know, because I don't always know what people haven't heard a million times.
I like looking hot, buying stuff they cannot. I like drinking hard, maxing dad's credit card. I like skipping gym, scaring her.